OP decides to divorce wife after almost cheating during business trip. I almost cheated on my wife due to sexual frustration. I went on a business trip out of state, and there I met a woman at a bar. We started chatting and felt the spark. We exchanged numbers and did exchange some flirty texts, and she invited me over to her house. I was planning to go, but I didn't. I just went outside, got hammered, and slept it off. A week ago, my wife went through my phone and discovered those texts. I confessed and told her what happened. She didn't believe that I didn't F her. She called me a cheater. Yes, technically, I am more of a semi-cheater. Last week was basically her ignoring me. The day before yesterday, she asked for divorce, and I agreed without any resistance. Our marriage should have ended the moment our sexual life went to SHT. I wasted years on the marriage, which was destined for doom anyway. I was never the one who held on to a SHTTY relationship. I was always willing to walk away when a relationship was not right for me. She was the only woman I didn't think of leaving. She was special to me. That's why I married her, and the thought of leaving her never crossed my mind. It made me give a dead-end relationship more time than it deserved. So I told her that I also think it's time we end this sham that we call marriage. I am also somewhat glad all this happened. Otherwise, I would have walked through my life in a marriage that made me miserable. I also feel lucky that I didn't actually have sex with a woman on my work trip. Even when I look back, I can't believe I made the right decision to not go through with it. I don't even know why I stopped. It was pure luck. My wife took my acceptance of her proposal of divorce as a sign that I actually cheated. She accused me of wanting to run back to my house and abandon our children. She didn't believe me before, so I was in no mood to correct her. I will not be abandoning our kids. I did decide to apologize to that woman. I apologized for ghosting her and gave the excuse that I was drunk and fell asleep, which is true. She replied with "no worries" and a gif of a dog drinking champagne, which was very nice for her to do. I don't think I will meet her ever again, so I don't think she needs to know more than that. I think maybe I will tell her about it after divorce. My wife demanded to see my phone, and I gave it to her. She saw the text of me apologizing and her reply, and she got mad at me. She said I was scheming with that woman to gaslight her into thinking that I didn't cheat. She has actually accused me of gaslighting her for stupid things before, but this time it would have actually made sense if it were true. I said to her that if she does not have to believe me to divorce me, quit the opposite. Which made her more mad. I don't even know how to get through to my wife. I would have left the house if I didn't have kids, but I can't do that for now. Am I wrong here? What am I even supposed to do? Comments. A Q. Stop arguing with her and just file for divorce already. You're so checked out of this relationship already. White Witchy. Even if your marriage is breaking apart like a bird's nest blown from a tree, now would be a good time to plan how to navigate the separation. Mediation or couples therapy would be a good next step. Being right or wrong doesn't really come into this, but you need to find common ground so your children aren't collateral damage. Update. 1 day later. So I took some of your advice and decided to create proper boundaries. I basically told her that I am not her punching bag, and that I will not discuss anything if she does not engage in a calm and respectful way. I also told her that since we are getting a divorce, she is not allowed to ask for or look at my phone anymore. She needs to respect my privacy since what I do now is none of her business. She went kind of mad, stomping around, banging doors, etc. But I ignored her. I basically refused to engage with her. She calmed down after some time and asked me if I had seriously had sex with that other woman, and I replied with the truth that I hadn't, and she is free to not believe me if that's what she wants. She then started blaming me for not talking about how important sex was for me. I did talk. For not taking her on dates, I took her on plenty of dates, and for all other excuses that even she didn't believe if I was being honest. There was no conviction in her voice. I said to her that I do not care anymore what her reasons were or who is to blame. It's a moot point. It's not time to look back. It's time to move forward. She floated the idea of therapy, and I rejected it because I don't see the value in pouring thousands of dollars into it for them to tell me that I should have left her years ago. I am taking a hardline approach with my wife now. I basically told her that if she wants to tell others that I had an emotional affair, then she is free to do so. I don't believe it is an emotional affair, but some people here pointed out it is, so I went with it. I told her that we needed to get the ball rolling for divorce now and be done with each other. I stand by my comment that this marriage is a sham and should have ended a long time ago. I should have ended it a long time ago. Now she seems to be obsessed with the idea that I am going to F the woman I met at the bar. I basically told her that since we are divorcing, who I sleep with is none of her business. And you know what I would like to do with her after divorce. Why shouldn't I? She was interesting and interested in me. My wife then suddenly decides that she is going to schedule sex with me, which I rejected. I don't want sex from her. I want divorce from her. I have never had duty sex, and it just sounds awful. I can get better quality sex after divorce than SHDTY sex from her once a week. I have basically come to the realization that there is nothing my wife can do that a new woman can do better. Better sex, better behavior, better relationships, and better everything. I have been so blind. I wasted so much of my life on this relationship. I could have had a better life just by walking away from her, and like a bozo, I stayed because I thought she was special. I thought she was special because I loved her. So I ignored how much better my life could have been without her. Now the veil is lifted, and I am left with regrets about not ending it sooner. So yes, people were right that I was being wishy-washy about divorce, because I was not 100% sure. Now I am sure that this is the right choice for me. So this chapter of my life is over, and a new one is going to begin soon. Comments. 20-something Daisy. Y'all are both arseholes. Better off divorced. Sloppybutt 123. I thought Reddit was going to trash this guy. ThunderGod 250. Because it doesn't matter if he's NTA or IDA. This is the best ending for both of them. Sloppybutt 123. More importantly, it is best for the kids in the long run. Cautious Session 9788. That's exactly it. This guy really didn't care if he was the or not. He made that obvious, as well as the disdain he holds towards his wife. It didn't really matter who was at fault for their marriage sucking because, at least for OP, it was at the point of no return. So there was no point in playing the blame game. Second story. My homophobic neighbor tried to sabotage my water line, and that's how I made new friends. So I got notice in October that my apartment was raising my rent by $200 in a single year in December. I like renting. Genuinely. Hey, my water heater is broken. Come home, and it's fixed. I never had a problem, but a 20% rise in rent in 1 year. Not doing that. The morning I opened up the rent increase notice, I happened to see a cute manufactured home with a for sale sign on my way to work. I pulled it up on my phone and called the realtor. This was Monday. She indicated the sellers didn't want it shown until Wednesday, and we scheduled a showing. I put in an offer the next day, and they accepted it 10 minutes later. Yay, signed and closed 10 days later. It was an incredibly easy transaction and process, and that made me very happy. Well, on my move-in day in early November, the retiree neighbor on my left comes up to me while I'm helping the movers move my stuff, and the first words out of her mouth were, "Are you going to do anything about these leaves that keep blowing into my yard from yours?" Eventually, it came to a head where I told her, "I understand that you like to keep your lawn tidy. Can you at least try to understand that I have been working 60 and 70-hour weeks while moving, and I am doing my very best?" The property management company that runs the park straight up told me I was in the clear and not in violation of anything. I've had no contact with her since she realized I wasn't going to capitulate to her. This most recent Friday, when we had frigid temperatures and high winds in the evening, I flushed my toilet, and I realized it wasn't refilling. I test my taps. No water. It's already too dark, so I go to the store to get water for me and the cats. In the morning, once it's light out, I put on my coveralls and head out into the -3 Fahrenheit, -22 Fahrenheit wind chill and investigate. The water supply comes out of the ground outside of the trailer skirt, then goes through the skirt to the supply. The previous owners had built a well-insulated box around the water supply, but the access hatch was unlocked and cracked open. I sigh. I call my father and tell him I need to borrow his heat gun. He offers to drive it over, but the weather is so bad with blowing snow. I told him even in his truck he'd get stuck, so I went trekking over there. I'm fuming the whole way. I could have sworn I latched that door when I was checking my winterizing list. I could have sworn. Eventually, after 15 minutes of using the heat gun, the water started flowing. I get back inside and get under my blankets to get warm after being in the Arctic conditions for nearly 2 hours at that point. I still can't get over it. I know I latched the door. So on a whim, I propped my laptop in the window, set it up to video record, and went on with my day. I woke up Sunday morning to temperatures of -7 Fahrenheit, -33 Fahrenheit wind chill, and went to fill up the cat's water bowl. No water. WTF. I put on my coveralls and headed out, but the access door cracked open again. I get the heat gun out again and get the water going again. So I check my laptop, and not 2 hours after I started the laptop recording, the neighbor Karen comes waddling across her driveway, walks over to my trailer, leans over by the water, and messes with the door before waddling back to her trailer. I get my coat on and walk over there with my laptop. When she answers, "Oh hi, my name, what brings you over today?" All cheery and two-faced. I just opened my laptop without saying a word and hit play. She just starts stuttering, trying to come up with some bullshit. I just interrupted her and told her I'd be forwarding it to the office, and I walked away. On Monday, the office called me and told me they would be addressing the issue, and it would be incredibly helpful if there was a police report. I gladly called the non-emergency line and scheduled a time for an officer to come out after work. The cops were pulling up just as I was walking home. We came in, and I detailed everything and showed them the video. They wanted a copy, so I gave it to them. They asked me to show them the water line, so we headed out around there. They took some photos while we were out there. The whole time we were out there, Karen was looking out her kitchen window. They see she's home as well and offer to trespass on her. I head back in, and they eventually come knocking, telling me they spoke to her and trespassed on her. They gave me a copy of the police report number and forwarded it to the office. While we were out there, a neighbor couple across the street were out and asked me if everything was okay. I said it was because I had video proof that Karen had actually opened my water access to freeze my pipes. Their eyes went wide. Their cover over the water line was also removed, broken off, and his water line froze too on Friday, and the repairs were broken again on Saturday. It turns out Karen has an ongoing beef with them because they have a pride flag they refuse to take down. So the police went over there to get their statements too. Karen's husband came home an hour ago and came over shortly after to ask me to retract my complaint against them with the office as a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Your effing wife was intending to destroy my water lines in the middle of a winter storm, which would have cost me thousands of dollars to fix. He pulls out his checkbook. So what's this going to cost me? Well, I bought the place for $40,000, so let's call it an even $45,000, and I'll straight up tell the office I fabricated the whole thing. He said he was serious. I said I was too. He says they're on the verge of being evicted and kicked off the lot, and she has problems. Sounds like the neighbors, and I should go in on a bunch of security cameras to ensure that happens then. So we'll see. I wasn't going to set up my server, but I'm going to be doing that tonight with a couple of my webcams on some Raspberry Pi computers. I just can't trust this woman. All because of some effing leaves and a gay pride flag. Comments. Wild Billy 61. Everything you did and how you responded were nothing short of perfect. I hate SHD neighbors who smile, put on an act, and play dumb when facing them while plotting and sabotaging your property when your back is turned. We've dealt with a few neighbors over the years who we've caught or other neighbors caught doing things to our property. You can't let it slide. It needs to be addressed and taken care of immediately because this is your property where you reside and you have to protect it. If you don't feel safe in your own home or on your own property, that's no way to live. OP. But she has problems. Nibbles 200. She may have problems, but they don't have to be your problems. Put the cameras up and put a lock on them. Go full nuclear and get them evicted. Make friends with everyone else and become a happy neighborhood where everyone helps each other out. Update. 23 days later. Cliff Notes. Grandmother Karen got upset about leaves blowing over from my lot onto her lot during my purchase of the home. She deliberately tried to freeze my pipes during a snowstorm. Well, it's been interesting. I installed 4 cameras, one on each corner of my trailer and one on my covered porch. I took my other cameras and installed them over at the neighbors across the street who had their water line frozen too, most likely by Karen as well. She watched me install them from her kitchen window and waddled over a little later to look at them and flip me off. She keeps flipping the cameras off. On trash day last week, she cheerfully asked me to help her move her trash cans to the curb when I was walking by with my groceries. I'll admit I snorted and was petty. I put my groceries down and went to every lot on the street and pulled their trash to the curb except for hers. The nice old lady across the street invited me to Rummy Cub night. At first, I declined. She said they were going to dish about Karen. I said I already had my shoes off and that I was in for the night. We drink wine, smoke pot, and play Rummy Cub. Okay, I'll get my shoes. These ladies were amazing. New friends were acquired. I got all the gossip about Karen, and my head was spinning after it all, so some highlights. Karen has 4 adult children. Her 3 daughters haven't spoken to her in more than 12 years. The last daughter to speak to her actually lived on the other side of my place. But they had a falling out, so her daughter sold her home and moved across town to get away from her. Her son is the only one in the family speaking to her. Karen used to be part of another monthly gathering social of a bunch of retirees in the community. But she was kicked out after she kept going on tirades about the guy who owned my place before and harassing a gay couple that lived on the street. The beef she had with the previous owner of my place started over, of all things, yard waste. Grass clippings to be exact, so at least she's reliable, I suppose. It also explains her deal with the leaves. In response to her bullshit about him leaving grass clippings on the lawn, he also stopped raking up leaves. So that explains that in a way. In short, she's just a toxic AF old woman who gets off on starting SHT with her neighbors. And her husband paying people off is also apparently a theme, as he tried to do with me. The most egregious thing that made my blood boil just hearing it. A few years ago, she got off on this rant about a young guy in the park, walking his dog twice every day. She kept going on about, he better not let that dog SHT in my grass. Well, one day the dog decided to relieve itself there, and as the guy was picking up his dog's waste, she maced both of them with pepper spray. Hubby paid the guy off. The lady hosting Rummy Night talks to Karen. She says that Karen was being about me putting up cameras and how gauche it makes the neighborhood look. After taking a literal bong rip, these ladies are effing awesome, she says. So I say to her, Karen honey, if you're so worried about what's gauche, you probably shouldn't have tried to freeze his pipes in the middle of the worst winter storm wave this decade, and then he wouldn't be installing cameras to protect his property. Apparently Karen's response to that was that I should have taken care of my leaves. So Karen hates grass clippings, leaves, gays and lesbians, and being a decent human being. She's been taken care of by her husband, who covers up her bullshit, and she's just so incredibly toxic that 3 of her own children don't speak to her or let her grandchildren see her. As far as the property managers go, I was assured they are taking this very seriously, but cannot disclose what actions they are taking toward me. Fortunately, Karen can't help herself from gossiping or throwing herself under the bus. And after another bong rip, the Rummy host told me that she received a letter from their lawyers with a correct or quit notice that any more complaints would result in an eviction. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how long she can last before getting evicted. But not as much as I'm looking forward to hosting these awesome old ladies this Friday. I'm going to teach them how to play Settlers of Catan. Comments. Temporary phrase 2288. All I can imagine is the Golden Girls sitting around the table, playing cards, gossiping, and taking rips off a bong in the shape of Burt Reynolds. OP. They're totally my new best friends. I have been to 2 game nights now. They're a riot. The bong she had was in the shape of a Nico cat. Capital Effect 2773. Wow. This is the update I never knew I needed so badly. I'm glad you're not letting this go. And I kind of hope she's there this fall, so you don't want to rake your leaves. OP. We got to laughing on Rummy Night that this fall it would be hysterical to go around collecting all the yard waste bags and dump them all in my yard if she's still around. Funny thought. But that'd just be stirring the pot a little too much, even for me. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.